I need a place to live.
One of the first things immigrants in a new country need to do is to find a place to live. Most people have to rent an apartment or house the first time around. Renting a house can be challenging. The first thing a person should do is to find an affordable place. There are many options available to a renter when looking for a place to live. The popular website, Craigslist.com, is a good place to start because it allows the renter to search for places by prices, neighborhoods, number of rooms, and so on. With these filters, renters can view only places that meet their needs. There are, of course, other ways of finding a home. Newspapers also have a section that lists places to rent, or renters can go to a professional broker to find a place. There is also word of mouth, where renters hear about places for rent from friends, colleagues, and family. Then there is just the old-fashioned way of driving through neighborhoods in search of for rent signs. Renting a place to live can give a person a great feeling of independence, but renting a home comes with great responsibilities also. Renters must first pay the first and last month's rent when first renting a place. Additionally, there is usually a deposit that must be paid. The amount of this deposit varies. It is up to the owner of the building to establish the amount for deposit, and even though renters are paying rent, the apartment or home still belongs to the owner, which means renters are expected to take care of the place by not damaging their new home. Treat the home like it belongs to you, and everyone will be happy.
Should I rent or lease?
Getting into a new place to live is a very exciting time. This is especially true if the person looking for a new home or apartment is a first-time renter. Having a place to call your own gives you a great feeling of independence. The question that arises when looking for an apartment or home to live in is it better to rent or lease? Both options have advantages and disadvantages. The best way to go about making this decision is to base it on your own personal situation. Renting is a simple process that usually does not require the person to stay in that space for a specific length of time. In California, and in most states, this is called a month-to-month rental agreement. A landlord will generally require the new renter to pay 2 months of rent in advance. The property owner is also likely to ask for a security or cleaning deposit, or both. The advantage of a month-to-month rental is that the renter can get out of the agreement by simply giving the owner a 1-month notice to vacate. The same applies to the owner. If the owner asks the renter to leave, all he or she has to do is to ask the renter to vacate in 30 days. A lease works a bit differently. It's usually signed for 1 year, so both the renter and the landlord agree to a predetermined length of time the renter will occupy the unit. The renter signs a contract agreeing not to move out of the home for the 1-year period. After that, it works much like renting. There are consequences on the part of both parties if the lease is terminated early, though. So it is better to wait your lease out than to terminate it early.
It's time to buy a house.
Buying a home may be the single most important decision a person can make. It involves several things that a prospective homeowner must know before he or she begins a search for a home. Many newcomers to the United States do not immediately purchase a home simply because of the cost involved. Most people rent a home or apartment first, and this is not a bad way to go about finding your first place to live. Renting is generally cheaper than buying a home, and the lower monthly payment may allow the renter to save a few dollars each month until he or she can afford a home. Finding a good real estate agent is essential to finding a good home. Realtors are paid professionals whose business is to know about home buying. One thing that must be taken into consideration is how much a person can afford. In the United States, home prices vary greatly. This variance is usually based on location and size of the home. For instance, a 3-bedroom house that sits on a quarter lot of land will cost much less in places like Victorville, California, than the very same home in Monterey Park, California. Other things that may affect the price of a home is the condition the house is in, the age of the home, and the quality of the schools in the area. Many first-time buyers look for low-cost homes, sometimes called fixer-uppers, so that they can purchase a home and make improvements on it as time goes by. The longer you own your home, the more its value will rise. Once you own a home for a while, you could either borrow money on it, or sell it for a larger price, or in a more desirable area. It is better to start now than later in purchasing your first home.
Finding a new home.
Most people in the United States live in several different homes throughout their lifetime. Going from one home to another is a difficult task, but it can be manageable if it's done properly. The best thing to do is to create a checklist for all the different things that must be taken care of when you move from one place to another. Utility bills, which include gas, light, and water, must be transferred from your old place to the new one. Additionally, cable and internet service companies should be notified if you choose to continue your service with the same company. The U.S. Postal Service should also be notified of your new address, so that your mail can be forwarded to your new address without much interruption of service. In addition to getting all your services transferred to your new home, you should shop for the best possible price from a moving company. Moving company rates vary greatly, and it could become very expensive to move from one home to another. Some of the factors moving companies use to establish your costs are distance to the new home and the amount of goods that are being transported. Another option would be to rent a moving vehicle and do the work yourself. This will certainly cut down your costs, but it is a lot of heavy work. The last thing you need to do when moving to a new place is to inform your family and friends of your new address. This is a courtesy for the most part, but it could help you in the long run. Be sure to change the locks on your new apartment or house. You never want to keep the same locks because you never want strangers to have access to your new home.
A good resume for finding a good job.
One of the most important things a person can have is a good resume. Having a good resume increases a job seeker's chances of acquiring a good-paying job. A resume is basically a promotional document that nearly all employers ask for when seeking to fill an open position. Think of a resume as a snapshot or picture of you. It contains all the important information employers need to know who you are and what your qualifications are. It also includes your educational background, your previous work experiences, special skills, certificates, and most importantly, contact information. A resume should be written in a short and concise manner. Job seekers should try to get as much information onto a resume as possible using the least number of words. The resume should not be more than 1 page in length, although for more experienced job seekers, a 2-page resume may be acceptable. Human resource professionals who are responsible for finding new employees want to know what talents a job seeker can bring to their organization, so a good way to start a resume is to have a skills section at the top. By listing your skills first, an HR employee can quickly get an idea of what skills and talents the job seeker has. After listing your skills, you can then list either work experience or education. What comes after the skills section is an individual decision. For instance, if a person is looking for work straight after college, it would probably be best to list education first. However, if a person has a long work history, it might be best to begin with work experience. A good piece of advice would be to take your resume to a professional for review to see if you are going in the right direction.
How to get good references.
References are professionals who can attest to your character, work habits, promptness, and dedication to tasks given. Getting a good reference will help a person get a good job. The higher the status of the individual giving you a reference, the more significance it will carry with your prospective employer. If, for instance, you are applying for a job in the engineering field, it will be wise to ask your teachers or other more established engineers if they would endorse you for a specific job. If they agree, you could list them on your references page. Many employers will ask for a resume when you first apply, and if they like what you see on your resume, in many cases, they will then ask for references. If you do not know any professionals in your area of study, which many students do not, a trusted teacher would be your best choice. If he or she agrees to allow you to list him or her as a personal reference, that would be an asset. Keep in mind that teachers and professionals do not automatically agree to this. Many will consider your abilities and dedication before they allow you to use them as references, so it is a good idea to ask those teachers with whom you have a good relationship with. The reference page is its own unique page separate from your resume. It needs to be labeled on your page as References or Personal References. It must include the person's full name, title, and organization he or she belongs to. It must also contain contact information. This can be either a phone number or an email address, or both. The more quality references you can list on your reference page, the better.
Looking for a job that you like.
There are many opportunities for work here in the United States. Many jobs exist in both private industry and government for the right candidates. Finding a job could be frustrating at times, but with the right attitude and persistence, a good job could be in your future. The best way to find a job is through the internet. There are many job-seeking websites such as monster.com, jobs.com, indeed.com, careerbuilders.com, and simplyhired.com, to name a few. Using these sites to search for employment is a convenient way to find work, but it is not the only way available. More traditional methods for finding work are through newspapers, trade publications, schools, word of mouth, and the Employment Development Department, EDD. The EDD is a job service organization run by the state of California. Job seekers can visit any of its WorkSource centers and register for work. Job seekers can find a WorkSource center by visiting the EDD website. Newspaper publications also publish open positions in the classified ads section. This is how the majority of jobs were advertised before the advent of the Internet, and jobs are still listed there. Most colleges have their own job service offices for students. Lastly, word-of-mouth advertising, which is simply hearing about an open position from a friend, colleague, or family member. Another effective way of finding employment is to network. Networking is the practice of going to conventions, trade shows, and conferences where you get to know people working in your field. It's a good idea to invest in personal business cards to hand out at these events, which is a quick and efficient way to meet people and share your contact information. The more you put yourself out there, the better your chances of finding a good job.
How to find a house.
Buying a home is a big life decision. There are many ways to go about finding a new home. One of the best ways to do this is to find a realtor. Realtors are professional people whose job is to find the right home for the right person. There are many variables involved in choosing where to live, and finding the right realtor can be just as challenging. The first thing to know is that realtors want to sell you a home. Most realtors work on a commission basis, which means they get paid a percentage of what the home costs. The amount of pay varies at different real estate companies. The best realtors want to keep their clients happy by getting them into a home they want and can afford. There are many reputable real estate companies operating in the United States. Some companies have offices in most of the major cities of the country. Some of the things to look for in a realtor are how many homes he or she has sold. It is okay to ask for this information. The realtor must be knowledgeable about homes and the areas you are looking to buy in. Look to see if the realtor is busy and if his office is listed online. Once you find the right realtor, your house will be next. Be sure to give the realtor all the information he or she asks for. Buyers usually know how much house they can buy. The California market for homes is very competitive, so homes are expensive here. It is good to know how much you can afford to pay per month before you go looking for a home. The area you buy your home can influence pricing to a great degree. The same home in one area could cost significantly more than in other neighborhoods, so shop carefully.
Buying insurance for my home.
Once you have settled into a new home, it is important to purchase an insurance policy to protect your home and belongings. Insurance for your property can pay off in many ways. It will cost a renter or homeowner very little money every month. The hope is that you will never need it. If that day ever comes, however, you will be very happy you have insurance. Insurance on your apartment or home can protect you from a large financial loss. Let's face it, sometimes good people become victims of crime. Some criminals are very sophisticated. They will watch a home for weeks to learn when it is more likely that no one will be in the home. Most people have a regular work schedule, so thieves may know when you leave for work and when you come home. Coming home to a burglarized house is an awful feeling. Beside the financial loss of having to replace all your hard-earned possessions, there comes a feeling of being vulnerable. You are just not as safe as you thought you were. Having insurance can help you overcome this. Being a victim of burglary is not the only thing that insurance can protect you from. You may suffer a house fire, or flood may destroy your home. Living in Southern California brings its own unique problems with earthquakes. Having an insurance policy can help you get back on your feet if any of these situations arise. If you are renting an apartment unit, the renter's insurance is available at low cost. Like any other purchase, the best thing to do is to do a little shopping around. Insurance rates vary by company. Take a little time to research the company and buy the policy that best fits your situation. You will not regret it.
Getting along with new neighbor.
Moving into a new home or apartment can be very exciting, especially if it is the first time you have ever lived on your own. The thrill of renting or buying a new place can be wonderful. However, having your own place to live comes with responsibilities. Rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, entertainment, and other bills must be paid in order to maintain a household. It is what adults do every day. However, there is another important thing, which is to get along with your new neighbors. If you are moving into a new home, it is important to get along with your new neighbors. Your neighbors will probably be strangers, but it does not have to stay like that. Since you will be seeing your new neighbors nearly every day, it might be smart to get to know them. Getting along with your neighbors can bring great advantages. Your neighbors can look after your home when you are away, and you can do the same for them. If you report suspicious people approaching their homes, they will return the favor. Getting along also means behaving in a civil manner. Remember, they can live very close to you, so it is good to be not too loud. Do not play music loudly. It's always a good idea to respect others' property. It is even more true if you are living in an apartment complex. Apartment living is more intimate than living in a home. Living in a home that has space between the houses allows a bit more privacy. But living in an apartment usually means sharing a common wall. Sound comes through the walls at all hours of day or night. The best approach you can use is to act in a way you would like your neighbors to act. No one likes neighbors who do not respect people's privacy. Be a good neighbor, and your neighbors will be good to you.
Cover letters.
When a person starts looking for a job, employers will generally ask for 4 things. The first is an application. This document is provided by the employer either through direct contact at the employer's location or online. Most applications are now filled online, but some organizations still accept hard copy applications. Once the application is submitted, the employer will contact you if he is interested in hiring you. This is when an applicant must begin to work on his or her personal documents. When submitting a resume to an employer, it is important to include a cover letter. A cover letter can either be a hard copy document on its own or be written in the text area of an email. It is recommended that you create a cover letter and attach it to the email, along with your resume when sending it in. You can then use the text area of the email to respond to the resume request, and to indicate that you are including a cover letter. What goes into the cover letter is very important. This is where the applicant introduces himself or herself to the employer and tells the employer why the job is right for them. Your cover letter should thank the employer for the opportunity, briefly explain why you are interested in the job, and why you would be a good fit. It is a good idea to research the organization prior to writing your cover letter so that you know a little about what the company does. This is also good advice when writing your resume. Always use good grammar and spelling, and don't forget to spell check your documents. Most resumes and cover letters are emailed into the organization's Human Resources Department, but it is also a good idea to print a hard copy.
Employee benefits.
A good paying job is nice to have, but to some people, having a good benefits package is just as important, if not more important. Some of the typical benefits packages employers offer today are retirement accounts, medical and dental insurance, paid sick time off, vacation, and employee discounts on goods and services. Many employers, for instance, will pay medical insurance for employees, but not for their families. However, there are some companies that do include families at either no cost or low cost. This is especially attractive to some prospective employees with families, as the cost of medical care is high in the United States. Many companies will help their employees plan for retirement with a 401k account. This retirement plan is available to employees who choose to take advantage of it. It usually involves a monthly contribution from the employee that is taken in the form of a payroll deduction. Some companies will match all or part of its employees' contributions. It's an attractive and sensible benefit. Dental insurance is also important to some employees. Dental care, like medical care, can be costly for those with no insurance. Fortunately, many companies offer this benefit. Like medical insurance, workers with families can benefit with most from this insurance. Another important benefit most companies offer is paid sick time off work. No employee is immune from getting sick from time to time. It is good to know that when an employee is sick, he or she can take the necessary time off to heal. Vacation time is also important to many employees, as well as having discounts for goods and services provided by the company. In all, having a good benefits package can be even more important than having a high-paying job only. A good paying job is nice to have, but to some people, having a good benefits package is just as important, if not more important. Some of the typical benefits packages employers offer today are retirement accounts, medical and dental insurance, paid sick time off, vacation, and employee discounts on goods and services. Many employers, for instance, will pay medical insurance for employees, but not for their families. However, there are some companies that do include families at either no cost or low cost. This is especially attractive to some prospective employees with families, as the cost of medical care is high in the United States. Many companies will help their employees plan for retirement with a 401k account. This retirement plan is available to employees who choose to take advantage of it. It usually involves a monthly contribution from the employee that is taken in the form of a payroll deduction. Some companies will match all or part of its employees' contributions. It's an attractive and sensible benefit. Dental insurance is also important to some employees. Dental care, like medical care, can be costly for those with no insurance. Fortunately, many companies offer this benefit. Like medical insurance, workers with families can benefit with most from this insurance. Another important benefit most companies offer is paid sick time off work. No employee is immune from getting sick from time to time. It is good to know that when an employee is sick, he or she can take the necessary time off to heal. Vacation time is also important to many employees, as well as having discounts for goods and services provided by the company. In all, having a good benefits package can be even more important than having a high-paying job only.
A haircut.
It was time for a haircut. Lenny didn't even have to look in the mirror. Even though he was going bald, he knew that he needed to cut his hair every 2 weeks. He had a tongue of hair on the top of his head. His hair was thinning at the crown. He still had plenty of hair on the sides and back. It was what they call salt and pepper, a mixture of gray hair and dark brown hair. It was only a few years, he figured, until the salt and pepper became just salt. He never let his hair grow for more than 2 weeks. The longer it got, the worse it looked, he thought. He spread a newspaper over the bathroom sink so that no hair went down the drain. He plugged in the clippers and started cutting his hair. He started at the back of his head, went to the sides, and finished on the top. Every minute or so, he had to clean the hair out of the blades with an old toothbrush. Finished, he picked up a hand mirror to check out the back of his head. Everything looked okay. He carried the newspaper back out to the kitchen and shook the hair clippings into the trash can.